Oh, darn it. Where did I file that blog post that needs to go up today on my website? AJSnetworking.com. Well, it's Windows Search to the rescue, and Windows Search is powered by indexing. In this nugget, you and I are going to explore this in detail. This is yet another hands-on lab nugget, so if you'd like to follow along, launch the hands-on lab from the main course page. How do we search for stuff now in Windows 10? Well, there's really two ways. It used to be primarily one way, but now there's two. We got to remember Cortana down here. So if we go into the Cortana area and I type like Win, for instance, notice what it's doing. It's finding a desktop app that matches this, and it's the File Explorer. Interesting. And then it's finding these other apps like Windows Defender. It's finding settings. It's willing to search the web for this word win. Notice I can come up here and say, all right, just look in apps, just look in documents, just look in the web. There's a more option over here to search in like photos for anything that might contain WIN. The other way that we're used to searching, the main method I still use to this day, is within File Explorer, I come over here and search. So I'll go to like this PC, and then I'll come over here and I'll search. If we did asterisk win asterisk, for instance, we're going to find a whole ton of stuff that contains the letters WIN. What is powering this search capability? Well, there's actually two vehicles that are powering this. There's the Windows Search, which is fed by an indexing process that we're going to look at. And then there's grep, GREP, that is searching areas that are outside what Windows has indexed. Okay, first of all, let's go to Services and let's see this Windows Search service that is using indexing to help find our stuff quickly. So if we go into Services and we scroll down, you'll see the Windows Search service is set to automatically start. It's a delayed start, but it will start automatically with your system, and it is running, and it is providing search services through indexing. There was this big movement with Windows 10 and solid state drives to go in and kill this. That's right, to go in and turn this off. The argument was solid state drives are so fast, Windows can find stuff on them just as quick, and you don't want the overhead of this service. Now, I've read plenty of documents from Microsoft engineers claiming that this is just ridiculous. That if you control indexing properly, that it's not going to harm you with overhead, even in the solid state drive environment. So let's learn how to control this indexing in this Windows Search. So what we're going to do together is we're going to go to Control Panel. Let's right click our Start button. Let's go to Control Panel. And inside Control Panel, of course, we'll do our large icon view. And there's an option in here for indexing options. Look at this. So we can see a couple of things. Number one, there's been 979 items indexed, and indexing is currently paused. Interesting. So we're working with the system, and the indexing, or the Windows Search service really, is saying, you know what, we're not going to do anything right now because you're working with the system. So the important thing to understand about indexing is it takes place when the system is at a low utilization threshold. It's smart about that. It's not going to go in and do its indexing work while the system is busy, while you're busy with the system. Now notice what's happening. It's going to index offline files, my start menu stuff, and everything in my users folder except for app data. Now, think about that. That's interesting. How did that search work a moment ago when I did the asterisk win asterisk? It found a whole bunch of stuff in the Windows folder, and the Windows folder isn't indexed. So how did that work? Well, like I said, it's not just indexing in Windows Search that powers you finding stuff. It's also the grep functionality. So even if you're not indexing a location, you're still going to be able to pull it up in search results. Now, notice that we can modify this. So you can select the modify button, and what's going to happen is you can come in here and you could go to your C drive, for instance, and you could add additional locations that you want to be indexed. You could even choose this show all locations option. And now what's going to happen is you'll see even more options for indexing, and that would include other users of the PC. So as an admin, you could use show all locations in order to influence what other users have indexed for themselves. So this is pretty cool. One of the things you might want to do is index an external hard drive that you've attached that has a ton of like Word documents you're storing. And that would be a reason you would come in here and manipulate indexing locations. What's available to us under advanced options here? Well, under advanced options, we have the ability to index encrypted files. We have the ability to treat similar words differently if they have a diacritic. In other words, like an accent mark, for instance, consider that word separate from other words that look like it. We can completely rebuild the index from here, and we could move the storage location for the index. There's really no reason I can think of that you would ever want to do that. This is a protected location for the index, and I can't see you ever wanting to move that. By the way, in the rebuild process, you would probably want to reboot your system and then use this rebuild process, because you could potentially make things worse if you had a lot of open files as the index is being rebuilt. If you want to update indexing in a more safe fashion while you're working in Windows 10, you would do something entirely different. I'll show you that in a moment. Before we leave this advanced options though, click on here, it's file types. Notice how you can exclude certain file types from being indexed, and you can also indicate whether you want properties indexed only, like for instance, the name of the file, or if you want to go ahead and index the properties and the contents of files, so you could more quickly pull up something that contains particular information. Notice we can also add extensions to this already extensive list of extensions. So these are the options for indexing that I want you to be aware of. Now, if indexing is giving you problems, if you don't feel like it's working properly, there is an index troubleshooter, and I would recommend you try that before rebuilding the index, as we saw inside the indexing options. How you get to the troubleshooter is to go down to your Action Center, go to All Settings, and just search right here for Fix space Search, and we'll have this option for find and fix problems with Windows Search, and this is one of the many troubleshooters that we have access to in Windows 10. So we'd say, okay, I want to do a fix of search and indexing, and it would detect any problems with the Windows Search functionality. In fact, it lets you even say like, hey, I'm not seeing files that should be in search results, or I'm not getting my email in the search results, or searching or indexing is slowing down the computer. So you could run through this wizard to try and fix these various problems that could occur with Windows Search. It's rare you're going to have an issue with Windows Search, especially now that you know how to control what particular folders are going to be included inside the fast indexing that Windows can perform for you. Now, I hope I don't have to say this to you, but I will just in case. Don't index everything. Don't get carried away with this. Notice Microsoft themselves have already tuned this for how they think you would want to use it. And that is your documents, your music, your photos. They're indexing that stuff for you. Don't go crazy. Don't go in and say, well, I want to index my entire C drive, because now you could be in a situation where the indexing, the Windows search service, is consuming way too much overhead. I hope this nugget was informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.